The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Life can only screw you over so many times before you find your dark side, which in this case is jewellery theft and insurance fraud. Amber and Scott discuss their possible dark sides after watching Crime 101. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
I am in the wrong damn line of business.
Well, if you consider crime a line of business.
I mean, after watching this movie, I did get a good education in it.
That's
It's almost like we got to watch Crime 101.
Ah, ha, ha, ha. Dude, we did. Crime 101 weaves the tale of an elusive thief whose high-stakes heists unfolding along the iconic 101 freeway in Los Angeles, and they have mystified police. When he eyes the score of a lifetime with hopes of this being his final job, his path collides with a disillusioned insurance broker who is facing her own crossroads. And every movie that is based on that one last job, that one last heist, boy, that just never goes as planned, does it?
Not really, no. It either isn't their last one or it goes seriously sideways.
That's true. All right, so this film, we follow our main character, Mike, who is a very sophisticated criminal, doesn't hurt anybody, and has gotten away with a lot of money and jewels, and the police don't see the connection with all the crimes, with the exception of one cop who says, I think this is the same guy. All these robberies are happening along the 101 freeway, and I think this is the same guy. And he does not have the support of his captain, his coworkers, and they just see him as someone who is bringing down their stats while the rest of them are actually arresting people for these heists that might not be the right people. Not a really good look for the LA Police Department in this film.
Yeah, no. The LAPD could use a little positive PR, that's for sure.
Well, they get a lot of good PR with the show High Potential, where they have a consultant come in and help them solve crimes.
Yeah, they have the consultant that comes in because they're not good enough on their own to do it.
Okay, don't get any ideas. Our LAPD is great, and if you come to our town and try and rob anybody, they will get you. So we have Mike, and he is a loner because we know he has some sort of troubled past, and ultimately we find out he's been in and out of the foster system, kind of a loner, and he had a tough time growing up. And he has a score to settle and some money to make so he can have the life that he wanted.
Yeah, but we don't know how much money that actually is. It becomes a real interesting question of what is your walkaway money on anything, like criminal or not criminal. Like if you have X number of dollars, you're like, I'm good. I'm just focusing on me.
Yeah, it's obviously different for different people, and some people can only be happy with expensive things, and some people can just be happy being happy.
Well, what would you do? What is your number? What is your I'm good number?
$930,000.
I'm probably closer to 10 mil.
Okay.
Because if I'm done, I want to actually be done. Really, the idea is I need to have enough money that I can buy a house outright and probably a new car outright. Make it so I don't have any super noteworthy bills outside of like a tax bill for the property and utilities and stuff like that.
See, and that's where expensive tastes come into play, because a lot of people, you especially look at lottery winners when they get a big chunk of money and they don't know what to do with a big chunk of money. And you talk about buying a house that you can actually maintain. It's nice that you can buy the house, but you need, if it's an expensive house, you need to be able to pay the, $500,000 a year in property taxes or whatnot. So an expensive lifestyle yields expensive bills.
Well, it doesn't have to be a super expensive house. It just needs to be a house.
Well, if it's in California, it's a super expensive house.
That's true. But yeah, so I basically want enough money that when I'm done, 5% of that amount of money is what I could comfortably live on at that point.
Okay.
Because a 5% return is super easy to get without trying too hard. And I don't want to try too hard.
Sure. All right. So meanwhile, we have this parallel storyline going of this woman played by Halle Berry who is an insurance she basically is a broker. So she deals with high-end people who have art collections and jewelry and expensive homes, and she insures them. And she happens to be the insurance company of record for a jewel heist that Mike has done.
Yeah. Well, that's what insurance is for.
Well, it is, as long as you are not actually committing fraudulent claims, arranging yourself to get robbed so you can collect the insurance, which is how she gets brought into this claim of this jewelry heist. Meanwhile, we know that Mike did the heist, and these characters are running these parallel storylines until ultimately they converge.
Yeah. So I want to start with you while we're talking about some of the converging, because Halle Berry was wanting to be partner.
Yes.
And she was getting the runaround.
She was.
So, and she was, at a certain point, the guy's like, yeah, let me tell you a number, 53. As a 29-year-old woman, I want to know what you think about the fact that he threw that out.
Okay, so yeah, the number came up in a fact of she just keeps getting the runaround every time she's supposed to have a meeting about becoming a partner, and she's been there for 11 years and done everything they said and made lots of money and brought in lots of very lucrative clients, and yet she keeps getting put off for this promotion and seeing many of the guys that work with her being promoted much, much quicker, and that's when her boss basically says, well, yeah, 53. Okay, F you. Because, number one, you know how strongly I feel about ageism. And I've felt this way for a very long time. It has nothing to do with my age.
I was going to say, it can't be too long. You're only 29.
That's true. I felt this way about ageism my entire adult life. And because it's one of the isms that is still mostly acceptable. Like you can't make fun of people for many things nowadays that people used to be made fun of for. But ageism is one of those isms that is still okay to make fun of people for or discriminate for. And granted, you're not supposed to. And once you're, I think it's like 40-something, you're in a protected class of people when it comes to employment.
Yeah, it's like 45. We actually covered this on a previous episode. I do have no idea which one.
Yeah, and number one, you should never discriminate against anybody for their age because, number one, you can't help it. Number two, whatever happened to experience. Number three, we also live in a world where salt and pepper hair on a guy is hot. And heaven forbid, one gray hair in a woman, she's an old hag. So you know how I feel about ageism.
Yeah. Kind of get stuck there in that age between, like, up in person at the firm and, hi, welcome to Walmart. Here's a cart.
What?
Well, if you get old enough, you just go work as a Walmart greeter. Isn't that what you do?
Here's a cart?
Well, maybe.
Well, if they're a greeter, they're sitting on the stool by the door. They don't get a cart.
Okay.
I mean, are you trying to say that's where they live now? Is a cart? Shopping cart?
No.
That's where their stuff is? Where are you going with this?
I keep thinking they have more of a purpose than what they do.
Wow, so they lack purpose. You're a piece of work. Okay.
I mean, what has a greeter at Walmart ever done for you?
Said hello when nobody else in this world has, including you. Anyway, so
I'm VP in charge of hello.
I don't know about that. So we go back to so Sharon, this is the climate that she is living in, and she works in, and here's the other little dig for the ageism is she was on the verge of landing this client because we want pretty women to go socialize with the rich men and bring in business. And so her boss is kind of insinuating, like, yeah, you're 53, you're on the downslope, and you're not going to be able to land clients anymore. But she actually didn't land the rich guy that she was courting for business, not because she was 53, but because she said what most reasonable people, especially most reasonable women, would say and think when she is talking to him at his house and a girl walks by to the pool and Sharon says something like, well, we can insure the house and we do this. And then, when your daughter goes off to college, we can insure her for everything there. And he says, that's my fiance.
Yeah, here's the thing. Guys are scum. Like I've always said this. And if you're rich, then you just have the wealth to be scummy and people will forgive it. And that means trying to date at an age that's like younger than what your daughter would be. And you kind of have to assume that if they have a lot of money, that if the hot chick that walks by, like, you don't know what they are. They could be the daughter. They could be the granddaughter. They could be the fiance. You don't know.
Yeah, especially if you're in LA and where that is insanely common, probably even more so than some other areas. But when she says that, she is promptly shut up and shown the door, and she does not land the client. So all of this is feeding into her insecurity and her resentment about her job. But let's just turn that into a what would you do? So you are Sharon, and you have made a huge faux pas. What do you do?
I mean, you're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable mistake to make, but wow, I think that's one of those ones you learn once and then you just don't say it again.
Yeah, it wasn't something necessary to say.
But it's not that it was necessary. She was saying about how insurance could help him, and she thought the young girl was his daughter.
Listen, if you're bringing in a company like that,
you have to assume the guy's dating someone half his age.
Well, no, you have to assume the guy knows a thing or two about insurance. I mean, they're talking about some deep insurance on things, like insuring wedding presents and stuff like that. I'm sure he knows his daughter's stuff, assuming it could be insured. You just don't say it. Don't make assumptions. It's unfortunately she shot herself in the foot on that one.
She did. It was a reasonable mistake, but obviously a fatal one, because obviously he did not want to feel judged in that way in any way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah.
So this experience then starts her on this path of feeling like, oh shoot, she lost this client, and then a younger girl comes in, is going to take it over and win the account, which she does, and when Sharon realizes she is not going to be made partner, when she's just being pushed off again, she ultimately partners with Mike, because Mike found her kind of earlier and said, you insure people, I rob people.
Okay, I want to dig into this a little bit more after we have a quick word from our sponsor.
Overwhelmed by the technical side of podcasting? Duncast makes creating a professional-sounding podcast incredibly simple.
I was terrified of the technical side of podcasting. Duncast made it so simple that I launched my first episode in under 30 minutes.
Just record, and our patent-pending AI tools handle the rest, giving you studio-quality sound at a fraction of the time and cost. We also distribute your show to all major platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so all you have to worry about is being the creator.
If you want it done fast, use Duncast. Visit Duncast.com to start your free, no credit card required trial today.
All right, welcome back. So where we were is we were talking about this potential collaboration with Sharon and Mike. Mike has found Sharon, made a friendly overture, and then basically comes clean of saying, you provide insurance for rich people, I want to rob rich people, let's work together.
You've got the looks, I've got the brains, let's make lots of money.
Yeah, exactly. And what would you do if you were Sharon, where you're disgruntled, but then someone comes to you with this idea of, hey, we can both make some profit here, and you can screw over the guys that have been overlooking you.
She was only semi-disgruntled at that point. It wasn't until after they had the meeting where she got 53'd that she became, I'm pretty much full-blown disgruntled at this point.
Yeah, she walked away the first time, but then after that, she did reach out to him and decided to work together.
Yeah, so you can make a lot of money and you can screw over the assholes that just didn't make you partner. Sign me up.
Yeah, and Sharon's walkaway money was $3 million out of an $11 million heist. So she wasn't being greedy. She just $3 million was the amount of money that she thought she'd be good.
I mean, that was probably, depending on the number of years, that's probably a reasonable amount of money to think that she might have made as a partner.
Right.
Like eventually over the years. So I'm just going to get my partner money all in one lump sum.
And while all of this is happening with Sharon and Mike, one of Mike's storylines is he meets a girl. And he otherwise is pretty much lives a life of solitude, hires a hooker now and then for companionship, but he just doesn't have people in his life. But this girl hits him.
Just ran into him.
And he takes that opportunity saying, hey, do you want to go to dinner? And she is initially, after they start spending time together, unsettled by the fact that he has nothing personal in his apartment. He doesn't have pictures. He doesn't mention friends or family. Doesn't mention his past. And that everything in his home is very sparse and sterile.
It feels like that's pretty much a modus operandi for a lot of criminals. Like, I'm not going to go telling a whole bunch of things about who I am. Things that can connect me.
And the fact that he also moves around a lot. So if you are in a situation where you're bouncing around from place to place, I don't know. I think about this girl that he was dating, Maya. And what would I do if I was Maya? I think some of that stuff is red flags because you're with a guy who seems to have no connection, like someone who could disappear you and cops wouldn't know where to start even looking because this guy is a ghost, a mystery, no sense of history or presence anywhere. And he has a job that he works with software and banks supposedly, but Maya still falls for him anyway. So what would you do if you were Maya?
It was Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, you think he's dreamy?
I don't think he's dreamy, but I think a lot of women think he's dreamy.
Okay.
Like, I don't know anything about you. You have a million red flags, but you're Chris Hemsworth, so screw it. Let's go.
Okay. Well, he's not really Chris Hemsworth.
Well, he sure as hell looked a lot like him. I think that's the part that matters.
He did. Yeah. And we see this relationship unfold between his heists and his planning, and ultimately he has this final heist that he's working on with Sharon and asks Maya to wait for him while he goes out of town for a job. Okay, if someone uses the term basically wait for me, I'm like, are you going off to war?
It ain't going to be a week.
Are you going to come back in 3 years? Wait for me? Hey, I have a job out of town. I'll be gone for 2 weeks.
Dude, we've had like 3 dates. No, I'm not waiting for you. Also, I want to note something before I forget it. If you're a hooker and you get a call for a job.
Yeah.
And you walk in and you see your client is either Chris Hemsworth or somebody who resembles Chris Hemsworth, you've got to think that is the biggest freaking score ever. Because you kind of have to think that probably what they would normally walk into is not that.
Yeah.
Like realistically.
Okay.
Only good-looking people are calling hookers in movies.
Okay, so...
Because he doesn't... if you look like that, you do not have to pay.
Okay. I'm not speaking from personal experience. I could be really wrong here. But if you're a hooker, okay, yeah, thumbs up that your John isn't some gross, disgusting guy, but it's still a job. Like, do you think she's just like, oh, score, this one's a hottie. I'm gonna have a good time with this one. Do you think hookers get excited when their John is hot?
Yes.
Really?
Okay, well, let me tell you.
I mean, maybe they'll be less dreading it, but if you're a hooker, you number one, you've got a story. You've got some sort of story that puts you there.
Let me tell you. Well, I wasn't a full valet. I was very close to one working at Disney, where I actually would get.
Where they had lots of hookers at Disney.
Well, where I would get cars and drive it. And let me tell you,
the Disneyland Hotel. You mean?
No, actually, it was the Grand California.
Okay.
I still remember getting into Chuck Norris's Bentley,
and he had a hooker.
And there was never a Honda Civic that I remembered. There was definitely cars you could get in that you're like, this is cooler. This is awesome.
So you're comparing your story with Chuck Norris's Bentley to a hooker?
No, not
arriving and there's a John who isn't disgusting?
Basically, yeah, you're gonna have jobs that you like more than others. That's for sure. I'm not saying it's not still a job.
I apologize to any ladies of the night who might be listening to this.
Oh no!
episode.
If you're a lady of the night, could you please comment and confirm what I'm saying here?
Yeah. Do you get excited when your John is not disgusting?
But no, it could be anything. Like any type of a job that you have.
I don't think this applies to any type of job that you have. Your job as a hooker is having sex with people. That is not the same as parking cars or being a valet at a hotel.
Listen, I feel strongly that there's
you feel strongly
that there's a difference between walking in on Chris Hemsworth and like some dude who's like 5'9", 350 pounds and clearly hasn't showered in a few days.
I mean, it might be relief. I don't know if it's, wow, score.
Well, again, it's like I said.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't speak for hookers.
Some jobs you're going to like more than others. It's still a job. But which would you? So let's say you're hooking. Would you
like I do?
Would you rather walk into the room and see a 5'9", 350-pound dude who probably hasn't showered in a few days, or would you rather see Chris Hemsworth?
Why does he have to not have showered for a couple of days?
Because that's things that could make the job worse.
Maybe Chris Hemsworth didn't shower for a couple of days. I don't know his hygiene habits.
So which one are you picking?
I don't know.
You don't?
Who's going to give me the bigger tip? I'm working.
Okay, well, Chris Hemsworth is for sure going to give you the bigger tip.
Is he? Maybe he's a cheapskate. I don't know.
Do
you know he tips well? Do you know that he uses hookers and tips them well? I don't know.
I do know some people who tip well and don't tip well.
Okay. That's great.
That same job.
I never dreamed when we started this episode that was about high-end robberies that I would be put into what would you do shoes of what would I do if I was a hooker and had encountered a 300-pound man that doesn't shower versus Chris Hemsworth. I didn't realize that's where we were going here.
Yeah, no, 350.
We've spent a lot of time on this.
Like, he's probably not actually seen his own dick in like a couple of years.
Wow. Do we need to put some sort of warning or rating on this episode?
Possibly.
I feel like we went from PG to R pretty quickly here.
Anyway, please continue.
I don't know where to go from here. We are so far beyond what this movie was about and focusing on the things that actually matter. I don't know how to come back from what would I do if I was a hooker and there was a 350-pound man that hadn't showered in how many days? How many days that he hadn't showered?
A few.
I thought you had a number. Maybe I was wrong.
16. I don't know.
It was not 16 days. Oh my gosh. All right. So fast forward. The cop finds out who Mike is. His real name is James. He grew up in foster care. And this cop is also not appreciated, much like Sharon. And he has been had his hand smacked like Sharon because he didn't go along with another cop planting a gun. And I don't know, he's trying to do good detective work and actually not just arrest people for the wrong crimes. And he winds up collaborating with Sharon, who tells him everything that she had done.
Hang on. We're going to stop here. We're going to the cops.
Right now?
So, there were the guys who had their guns drawn on the guy who just robbed a jewelry store.
Yeah.
Okay. They tell him freeze, don't move, LAPD. The guy makes a sudden movement. After that, the cop shoots him. Are you saying that the cop was just completely in the wrong?
The cop planted a gun.
Well, no, hang on. We're not to that point yet.
Okay.
Let's start with the actual shooting.
I think there's a difference of don't move and someone can hurt you or hurt someone else versus you're going to run, because if someone runs, then if they did move, you could shoot them, I guess.
I mean, here's the thing.
But
you've just come out of a jewelry store.
you can't shoot an unarmed person. I mean, I think that's pretty basic, isn't it?
Yes, if you know he's not armed, but that's the thing. The guy's just come out of a jewelry store. You have to assume that he's armed. And they weren't exactly at point blank range. Like, they were a good 20, 25 feet out. So it is entirely possible that guy could have had something. And when they say freeze, don't move, when you make a sudden movement at that point, I think it's completely reasonable for a cop to, because here's the thing, you got to make split-second decisions.
Yeah, and the cop certainly could have said he moved, I thought he had a gun, I was afraid he had a gun or whatever, and sure, there's an investigation, as there should be when there is an officer-involved shooting. But
So,
planting a weapon is not okay.
Here's the thing, I'm not a huge back the blue guy. I mean, if you're a good cop, you actually are doing good cop things, I definitely do back you, but I do know that there are some dirty cops. That said, I think those cops were acting reasonably given the situation.
Okay.
They didn't do anything wrong. Yes, they found out that he was unarmed, but you find that out after the fact.
Right.
I'm not big on the idea of planting evidence.
I'm not big on the idea of planting
But
evidence.
here's the thing.
Can I quote you on that?
Again, the cops, I feel, were acting appropriately for the situation, and they know that if he's not armed, that it's going to end up being a thing that they don't want to have to deal with.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a thing. It's called an officer-involved shooting. There's an investigation. Yes, if you shoot an unarmed person, there is an investigation, as there should be.
Well,
there's going to be a thing. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, there's going to be a thing.
But that's the thing. I think the cops acted appropriately for the situation. All they're trying to do is keep internal affairs out of it.
Okay. Are you telling me it's okay to plant evidence?
I'm just saying the fact that they planted evidence, for me, and mind you, the evidence they planted was the gun that was in his bag.
Was it?
Yeah.
I assumed that was a lie. They said, oh, it was in his bag.
Oh, yeah, no. If you look, the bag was open.
Well, yeah, because they were staging the crime, setting
But
it
you
up.
don't have to stage that part. They went in the bag. They got the. Listen,
y'all can send your hate mail to Scott.
If you're robbing a jewelry store, you probably have a gun on you somewhere. So
you could also have a finger. Lots of people rob places with a finger.
And you know what?
They stick it in.
And if a cop doesn't know better, you can get shot too.
Wow. Okay. Again,
like you have to respect the cop's ability to
think fast and plant a gun.
Will not want to do something that makes them lose their job when they are acting appropriately.
Oh my gosh, this episode.
No. Again.
Yeah.
Listen, I would have been just fine with not planting the evidence, but I also understand that in this bureaucratic world, sometimes,
yes,
if you made the right decision, sometimes you need to make sure other people see that you made the right decision.
Wow. Okay, a good cop, like our main cop here, should not be pressured to go along to get along and to lie about another cop planting a gun. That's not how law enforcement should work.
But that's the thing. His own partner went along with the story because he was there. he knew what was going on. I don't think it makes them dirty. It just means that they don't want to have to deal with the crap that's going to come down for this. When, yes, obviously they'd known he wasn't armed. That's a different scenario. But I didn't know he wasn't armed from where I could see. And again, the guy was told, freeze, don't move. And he still moved. Like, if you're an officer, you have to reasonably, I won't say, reasonably fear for your life.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is what would you do is you would plant a gun. That's great.
I'm saying that
That's
if I were the
fantastic.
If I probably would not, but if I was the partner, I would go along with it.
This has been very educational.
Again, it all comes down to motive.
Okay, let's jump to our last what would you do. Although Sharon has planned this heist with Mike, she does go to our cop and tell him everything that has transpired. And he, in turn, interjects himself into this heist, assuming the identity of the person carrying the diamonds and the money and all of this. And
yeah, Mike takes out the actual driver and what's that cop's name?
Cop.
Intercepts the courier while he's on the plane. So they're both in there, and you could tell both knew that the other one wasn't the right person. I mean, you could constantly see the movements that the cop was making in the back. Like he was nervous.
Well, because he wasn't assuming, he knew because he had talked to Sharon. He knew what was going on.
Yes, but what I'm saying is Mike, I feel confident, picked up on it right away. Now,
I didn't feel that way.
Here's what I would have done. If I was Mike, I would have completely been like I was the driver all the way through. Because you have to think there's something up. Like, you could just kind of tell by the way he looked and the way he acted.
Well, he kept being fidgety and tapping his fingers.
Yeah, that he was not the courier. And if he's not the courier, more than likely he's the cop.
Well, I don't know if you go from not the tapping your fingers to not the courier and he's a cop.
Okay, well, he's either a cop or he's also a bad guy.
Okay.
And there's no honor amongst thieves. So
okay.
I would have just literally went up there, and then when I was done, walk out. Like, don't even do anything illegal.
All right. So what ultimately does happen is Mike and the cop go up to the hotel room where they, in a full circle moment, this is a heist that's based on that guy that was dating the young girl that Sharon commented about the daughter. It's him. And he's the one that is now the mark for the crime because he's having a wedding and there's money and there's jewels and there's gifts.
Because the insurance company pissed off their employee and their new client also pissed off that employee. So, okay, since I'm pissed off at everyone involved here, we'll use them.
Employee?
Yeah, Halle Berry.
Yeah, Sharon.
Whatever.
All right.
He screwed her over. I mean, he made her fire a Glock. She didn't want to fire a Glock.
Okay, this
She's an insurance agent.
This is a whole bunch of jibber jabber. So they're up in the hotel room, and Mike does what he's there to do, and holds up the people there, trying to get the money and the diamonds and the cash, and cop guy basically says, "I'm a cop." The one part we didn't mention, because there's a lot happening in this film, is there is a guy, another thief, who is actually has no problems beating people up and shooting people and following people, and he is the bad guy version of Mike's good guy criminal.
Yeah.
And
you're the bad guy and the good bad guy.
Yeah, and
good thief, bad thief.
Yeah. And so the guy who is the bad guy, his name is Orman, he jumps into the room because he wants to steal the money, not from the original Marks, the guy and his wife getting married. He wants to steal it from Mike. So he jumps in there, basically says, give me the money. And he's going to, Orman's going to shoot the cop. But
I don't know
Mike doesn't want it to happen, so he takes out Orman.
I don't know that Orman actually cared at that point who he was getting it from. I think
Yeah.
he would have been fine with getting it from anyone.
Well, yeah, but his goal, he went there to take it from Mike because he was loitering in the hall with a banquet tray cart, and that's what he was going to do, but he got tired of waiting, so he went into the room. Anyway,
if you're him, you could hear what's going on in that room. Once again, just like I said with Mike, if I'm him, I'm just walking away. I am walking away.
He is Orman is unstable, so you cannot count on him to make a good decision. So,
Well, yes, but if I were Orman, because we do Cinema IRL here where we put ourselves into the shoes of the characters. So if I'm hearing a showdown between somebody and a cop in that room, and
he doesn't know it's a cop. He has no idea it's a cop.
He could hear what was. Well, no, he yelled, "Police department."
I don't know what Orman heard, and you don't either. So
Orman clearly was conflicted.
Clearly?
Well, he was clearly conflicted standing outside the room. He's like, you could tell he was like, shouldn't I?
I don't know.
But you're right, he's unstable, so he went in.
I don't know if he was clearly conflicted. I think he was just
I think if you go back and
anxious.
watch it again, you'll see.
He was anxious. He was annoyed. I don't know if he was clearly conflicted.
Well, definitely annoyed.
Because he's a bad guy. He's not conflicted. He just wants to kill people and make money.
Well, he's pissed.
Or rob people.
He's pissed because he
I
went.
don't know that he's
See, that's the thing,
pissed.
because you went through all this and then you're thinking, well, crap, now, right when I'm at the end, maybe I shouldn't do this.
Okay. Anyway, so on to our final what would you do? Back to where I was in the story.
Yeah, Mike goes
Orman
bang
is-
bang on Orman.
Yeah. So what would you do if you were Mike in that situation where you could see this guy who's been in and out of the film, who is really unstable, who's been hurt people, and he's a bad dude. What would you do if you saw him holding a gun at this cop who was holding a gun at you just a second ago, getting ready to arrest you for committing this crime?
He also already told that guy, if I see you again, I'm going to kill you. So he was just kind of being a man of his word.
He told the guy. Who's he and who's the guy?
Mike told biker boy, Orman,
Oh,
if I see you again, I'm going to kill you.
okay. What does that have to do with
He
cop?
saw Orman again.
Okay.
He killed him.
Well,
He's a man of his word.
That's not why he killed him. He killed him because Orman was going to kill the cop. And even though...
Well, I don't think it had anything to do with the cop. I think it had to do with the fact that the cop was able to distract Orman's attention enough.
He didn't kill Orman because he saw him again. He killed him again because Orman was going to kill somebody. And Mike might have been a criminal, but he didn't hurt people.
Yes, I understand there's a conscious part of it, but honestly, like, clearly that dude's unstable. He's already shot once. He's very much capable of killing. So at that point, I don't think it matters so much he was pointing at the cop. I think he's just that the attention was off of him just enough to be able to do that. And you're not going to get out of there without killing him. Like, that's the thing. You already kind of know you're in a kill or be killed situation. So if he takes out the cop, you're screwed.
Okay. So, as I was saying, our last what would you do is once Mike shoots Orman, our cop buddy basically says to Mike, hey, you can go. We've got our criminal. Leave the money, leave the diamonds. You can leave now.
Well, here's the thing. He now knows he's been made. Not just on this, but on a whole string of robberies. Like, he's made.
So my question is, what would you do if you were the cop? Keep in mind here, we find out after the fact that the cop actually was disgruntled, much like Sharon, and he pulled a switcheroo, and he has the diamonds. So this really good cop got jerked around like Sharon, and he knows that he has a couple $1 million in diamonds.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. Mike did just save his life.
Yep.
And so this is kind of on a repay thing. Listen, you just saved my life. Because of that, I'm going to save yours by saying that we found the criminal. It's him. I'm the only one who's really pushing to get you in as the person. We're going to be even now. Walk away. And Mike, I think it's a fine offer the cop made because he knows that Mike's not truly dangerous.
Yeah, he said all along, our guy does not hurt people.
So it wasn't like he was releasing a psycho back on the streets. So it was a fair trade. And then Mike didn't think it was a fair trade. Mike wanted to make the trade a little bit better.
Okay. What do you mean?
Well, he knew that the cop did not drive a good car.
Oh, yeah. He left him his car just because they had bonded over classic cars
Yeah.
on the ride over.
It was like, here you go. Like token of my appreciation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that worked out reasonably well for everyone not named Orman. And the ass face who was getting married. I didn't like him. I was good that he got shot in the shoulder.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.